Our third speaker this hour is Julie Nowak. Julie is a multiply disabled educator, activist, writer, and consultant. Her work focuses on the intersection of disability justice, nature connection, body liberation, and food justice through her project called The Seasonal Body. Julie has provided us with a pre-recorded talk, which we are so happy to share with everyone today. Welcome, Julie.
Welcome to this presentation about virtual park accessibility, pre-recorded for the Parks Accessibility Conference. I'm going to share my screen now with you so that you can see my slideshow presentation. So this slide is titled Virtual Park Accessibility with Julie Nowak, that's me. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns, and I am the founder of the Seasonal Body. And this slide is pale yellow text on a black background with a thin horizontal green line through the center. And a description of myself, I'm a white person with short brown hair. I'm wearing a black t-shirt and I'm in front of a white door on one side and a blue wall on the other. This next slide is titled Access Statement on the left, which is black text on pale yellow background, and on the right is the reverse colors, pale yellow text on a black background with a little decorative horizontal green line underneath the text. And all the slides after this have the same color scheme. So on the right here are some points about access that I want to share with you for participating in this session. So the first is that there are captions available, whether you are participating live or watch the recording. I'm going to try to include spoken descriptions of visual content. So that includes describing slides. I am going to try to use clear verbal communication and define complicated terms and not speak too quickly, though of course you can rewatch this later if you miss anything. And I've also created a document that's being shared with you that will include links and resources and access to this slideshow, so you'll have all the information. And when you get access to this slide, there are some hyperlinks within the slides. So anywhere you see an underlined word in the slides, that's hyperlinked. And all of those hyperlinks are also included in the document. So next, this slide says agenda, and on the right, just a short outline of this short presentation. First is this introduction, which has included the access statement, now the agenda. Then I will talk about who I am and give a land acknowledgement. I'm then going to briefly talk about two important frameworks for talking about virtual nature connection. I will then give examples of virtual park accessibility. I will give a conclusion and then share my contact info. This next slide says, who am I? And it says my name, Julie Nowak, and my pronouns, she or they. On the right are some points about me. I'm a multiply disabled person. I'm mostly homebound due to chronic illness. And so accessing nature remotely is a big passion of mine and why I want to talk about it today. I am an educator, activist, and consultant. I am the founder of a project called The Seasonal Body, which is focused on the intersection of disability justice, nature connection, body liberation, and food justice. And more information about me can be found in the resource document. This next slide says, parks are stolen Indigenous land, a land acknowledgement and call to action. And I'm including this because when we're talking about who has access to parks, so often it's not the Indigenous people whose land it was stolen to create those parks. So talking about park accessibility has to include talking about decolonizing, which literally means giving land back to Indigenous people. In terms of the land where I'm coming to you from, I'm near Tkaronto, which is the Mohawk word where the name Toronto comes from. This is the land of the Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabeg, including the Mississaugas of the Credit. And I invite all of us as part of our nature accessibility efforts to support Indigenous land return through the Land Back movement. You can learn more about who the Indigenous people are in your area at this website, native-land.ca. And in the resource document, I've included some resources about land back and supporting Indigenous sovereignty. This next slide says virtual nature important framework. So this is going to be brief due to time. I've included more info and links in the document about these two important frameworks, but I am going to define them for us to move forward in talking about virtual nature accessibility. So on the right, the first one I want to define is disability justice, which some may not realize is a different framework than disability rights. Disability justice is specifically focused on being intersectional, which means not just focusing on disability, but also how disability relates to other identities. So that's why the disability justice movement centers disabled BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color, and disabled queer folks. So those under the LGBTQ plus umbrella. And it also has a clear anti-capitalist politic. It's not just trying to give people rights under the existing systems, but fully change the systems. My next definition is for accessibility, because I think my definition is a bit different than most. I define accessibility as creatively providing a variety of participation options and viewing each option as full participation and equally valuing them. And I think this last part is often missed, which is why I wanted to bring this up when we're talking about nature accessibility. I think many people would think that accessing a park remotely or virtually or in your home is not considered full participation, but I want to challenge that and equally value that as a way to connect with nature. So let's talk about examples of virtual park accessibility. On the right here, I have 5 categories. I'm going to go through one at a time with examples. On the left, I also have a note here to point out that while these are lovely examples of virtual park accessibility, they are missing key digital access options like image descriptions, audio narration, transcripts, things like that. And so as you think about how to bring more virtual park accessibility to the world, I strongly invite you to include those things. So these are the 5 categories. Number 1, virtual hikes. 2, immersive video and audio. 3, live feeds. 4, guided online workshops and nature walks. 5, podcasts and documentaries about nature. So we're going to go through each of these one by one. So first, let's talk about examples of virtual hikes. And on the right, I have 2 points about this, 2 examples. So the first is Google Maps curated virtual hikes. So these are created thanks to Google Trekker cameras. They function the same way as Google Street View, where you can kind of move along the street, but it's done with a special backpacking camera, and so you can go along the hike. And the second example here uses the same thing as Google. It's just the Nature Conservancy of Canada. They've compiled these virtual hikes using Google Maps, specifically on the parks that are under their management. So I'm actually going to exit full screen now and just show you these websites. So this is the Google Maps website with some tiles that show the different hikes available. So for here, we've got, for example, Mont Blanc in France. So if I click on it, it brings up a page that says Mont Blanc, and it shows someone hiking on an ice face, and I can click explore, and it shows a map with points on it. I'll click on this one that says explore this place, it has closer up more points. Not all of their maps are this detailed, but here's one, south base of Pointe la Chenelle, exploring Google Maps. And so this is more of a unique hardcore virtual hike where it's actually showing us rock climbing on the wall face. So we can actually see someone doing this. And we can, so we're on the side of a rock face and the camera's moving around. If we look over this way, it's a beautiful snowy mountainous region. And like Street View, we can move we can move up the rock face. And I mean, it kind of gets a little awkward in these ways, but beautiful, beautiful views. And on this website from the Nature Conservancy of Canada, if I scroll down, you can see the different parks they have that have similar virtual hikes that are a bit less extreme than the climbing a mountain, but still really lovely. So next slide is number 2, examples of immersive video and audio. So on the right, I have 2 points here about YouTube videos and podcasts. So if you look on YouTube and you search terms like nature trail, nature scene, nature sounds, you'll find so many options. So to show you an example, I've searched here on the on the YouTube search page, nature trail, and it's showing some virtual hikes. If I hover my pointer over it, it shows a preview of the video, and it's this is from a channel I really like on YouTube called 4K Relaxation Channel, which has like really high quality filmed outdoor hikes. that are just better quality than the Google ones I showed you before. And if I scroll down, there are, more videos from that channel, but also some other clips from other nice virtual hikes. And as for podcasts, there are lots of podcasts that just feature sounds recorded in nature, like no voices, just nature sounds. So this is one I like called Happy Sounds and Nature Sounds Podcast by Zebediah Rice. And as I scroll down, there are lovely titles like Thunder and Rain in an Australian Summer, Desert Dreamtime in Sound, The Seven Sacred Pools of Ohio Gulch in Maui. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Just lovely soundscapes. So next slide is examples of live feeds. So this could be video feeds or audio feeds. So on the right, I have two examples. The first is from an organization called Rainforest Connections, which has a free phone app where you can live stream live audio from forests around the world. This is their website, and as you can see here, they focus on illegal deforestation and animal poaching and bioacoustic monitoring, which they do by having microphones set up in remote forests all around the world, and they make that available to the public, which is really lovely. Also, if you look on YouTube, if you search live nest feed, you'll find live cams, feeds of birds. So here we've got one here of a bald eagle live nest cam. We've got a white stork nest live cam, and then Czech Republic. So those are fun to check up on. Next, here we've got number 4, examples of guided online workshops and nature walks. So this is more in the area of like human facilitated or educational type work. So the first thing here is virtual nature therapy walks, which are done on Zoom. In this example, they're done by guides who are certified by the Association for Nature and Forest Therapy, ANFT. So I'll show you their website here. So if I scroll down, it has some profiles for remotely guided forest therapy walks. So there are like dates and times and prices. Some of them are free as well, where they actually give you nature therapy activities over Zoom. And the other point on here is an example of like more educational webinars. In this case, from an organization called LEAF, which stands for Local Enhancement and Appreciation of Forests, which is in the Toronto area. And they offer virtual presentations, workshops, and tree tours, including on YouTube. This is their YouTube page. You can see they have videos here of, for example, virtual Lake Wilcox Park tree tour. And I've attended some of these and like learned a lot about tree facts and how to identify trees. They're really lovely. So number 5 here is the last category, examples of podcasts and documentaries about nature. So these are like more narrative driven. They're not just like visuals and sounds, but actually like telling stories. So the first point here on the right is a documentary series I really love called Our Planet. It's on Netflix, but they've also made it more freely available on YouTube. So I'll show you here. This is the YouTube playlist for the Netflix Our Planet series. You can watch all the episodes there. They're really great. The next point here is about podcasts. There are tons that tell stories about nature or people's experiences in nature. This is one I like called Out There that does that. I will also share that I have my own upcoming podcast that will feature nature connection activities. The tentative name is Homeward Nature. It's not yet released, but if you follow me through the contact information I'm about to share, you'll find out when it's ready to go. So as a conclusion, I want to share that in this slide, some points here that I hope this has shown you that there are many options to creatively offer virtual park accessibility. And I hope you will join me in prioritizing disabled folks who are homebound and who can't travel when we're talking about making parks more accessible. And also just to say that virtual and indoor nature connection, they have many health benefits. Some of them overlap with the benefits you get when you're outside. And so I don't want us to deprioritize those or decenter those. Let's say they are full participation as well. And this last page is my contact info. For me, Julie Nowak. I have my social media handles here. On Facebook and Twitter, I'm at Seasonal Body. On Instagram, I'm at The Seasonal Body. My website is seasonalbody.org. My email address is seasonalbody@gmail.com. and I welcome questions or feedback. If you would like to support my work financially or even just follow what I'm up to, I'm a low-income disabled person. So if you would like to support me in that way, you can do so on Patreon at patreon.com/seasonalbody. I also take donations on PayPal. My page is paypal.me/seasonalbody. And all this information is shared in the resource document. So I will end that here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. That was fantastic. We will have Julie's reference document up on our website in the next day or two so that everyone can go check out the links and the resources that she was talking about. And questions to Julie can be posted on our Slack channel. With that, that brings us to the end of this hour. Our next session will start at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please use the next few minutes to have a break, get some fresh air, and we'll see you all again soon.